This is a special feature presentation from OSER's Rehabilitation Services Administration. A Century of Success, celebrating the 100th anniversary of vocational rehabilitation. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar as we pay tribute to this historic occasion. Today we'll meet students and adults with disabilities and hear the stories of how the VR program helped change their lives. Now here is the guest moderator for today's webinar, host of the VR Workforce Studio podcast, Rick Sizemore.
As part of our 100th VR anniversary celebration, we're excited to have the U.S. Department of Education Secretary, Betsy DeVos, provide some opening remarks.
I'm pleased to celebrate the milestone 100th anniversary of the Vocational Rehabilitation Program. Since the program began in 1920, our understanding of and expectations for individuals with disabilities have significantly changed. Once focused on limited employment for individuals with physical disabilities, the program now provides a wide range of personalized services and supports leading to high-quality employment for individuals with all types of disabilities. VR serves over 1 million students and adults each year, empowering them to maximize their employment opportunities and achieve economic self-sufficiency, independence, and inclusion in the 21st century global economy. Across the country, VR professionals provide individualized and meaningful services that help people with disabilities pursue their goals. There are countless success stories. Today, we're excited to share just a few of them that highlight the importance of the Vocational Rehabilitation Program. Congratulations.
Thank you, Secretary DeVos. It's always good to hear from you. Mark Schultz is the Rehabilitation Services Administration Commissioner at the U.S. Department of Education. Mark has spent his career making a real difference for individuals with disabilities at the national, state, and local level through his work in both special education and vocational rehabilitation. Mark's inspiration for a career in vocational rehabilitation stems from his experience of having a family member with a disability. Commissioner Schultz?
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Schultz, Commissioner of the Rehabilitation Services Administration at the U.S. Department of Education. Today is the day the Vocational Rehabilitation Program turns 100 years old. Happy 100th birthday, VR! Thank you all for joining us for this webinar to celebrate this important milestone. 100 years ago today, on June 2nd, 1920, President Woodrow Wilson signed into law the Smith-Vest Act, also known as the National Civilian Vocational Rehabilitation Act. Throughout its 100-year existence, the Vocational Rehabilitation Program has continually adapted and evolved to meet changing public needs and circumstances, all with unwavering commitment to the individuals with disabilities we serve. Vocational rehabilitation started out primarily serving individuals with physical disabilities to now serving individuals with all disabilities, empowering individuals with disabilities to maximize employment, economic self-sufficiency, independence, and inclusion into all aspects of society. And most recently, the COVID-19 pandemic has certainly challenged all of us to empower individuals with disabilities in a different manner. All of us are having to rethink how we best serve people across education and employment. All of us in vocational rehabilitation must be innovative and creative in how we deliver our services and connect students, youth, and adults to the services that can assist them, taking advantage of the job opportunities that exist and helping individuals with disabilities keep the jobs they already have. Moving forward into the next 100 years, we will need to learn from our past and recognize that just as others have led the program through change, it's now our turn. The past gives us the knowledge and the credibility to lead into the future. We build off the great work of those who came before us as we set the stage for the next 100 years. We hope we can eventually look back on this anniversary and COVID-19 as a critical turning point in the history of VR, as we are facing unprecedented challenges and once again respond with innovative strategies and creative service delivery models. One thing that I hope never changes through the next 100 years is the basic purpose of the Vocational Rehabilitation Program: to help students, youth, and adults with disabilities achieve high-quality employment outcomes. High-quality employment outcomes that they choose and which allow them to reach, to the extent that they desire, their highest career goals and their fullest potential. VR has changed the world for many individuals with disabilities throughout its history. So today in our Centennial Day webinar, it is most fitting that we celebrate and pay tribute to this historical occasion by showcasing success stories of how the VR program helped change the lives of students and adults with disabilities. Well over the 100 years, there have been hundreds of thousands of successes. Today, you will hear from just a few how VR has provided the opportunities for Ethan, Judy, Laura, Craig, Barbara, and Jamel to work with VR programs and employers to better reach their goals. Thank you for being a part of this historical day. Here's to many more years ahead and the many more successes in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Schultz. Well, we're excited about sharing today's success stories, which are only a few examples of the extraordinary work that's going on at VR agencies all across the country. We'll share links to an array of additional success stories and celebrations, but we're showcasing a few stories as a way of capturing the rich diversity of the innovative strategies and teamwork that's making a real difference in the lives of people with disabilities. Our first story begins with Ethan, an intern at Hewlett-Packard.
I would say my first thoughts were being amazed that a company like HP would really be interested in me, and then also kind of I would say surprise and excitement and anxiety all at the same time were a big part of how I felt, because it was the kind of thing that it was a big experience unlike anything I've done before. But seriously, I would say it worked really well in the sense that they prepared us for the interview. They prepared us ahead of time for the interviews through a lot of workshops to improve our skills, as well as having mock interviews. And because of that, I feel like I was much better prepared for the interviews that I had later on. I would say the Spectrum Success Program it made it so I was looking forward to it a lot more. It made it so I kind of got a feel for what HP's workplace culture is like, and that was a lot of what assuaged a lot of my fears, because I've had experiences with workplaces before where I've kind of felt very stressed working there, and I didn't really fit there that well. But then when I was here for the Spectrum Success Program, I got to see what people interacting working at HP was like, and I found that the workplace culture here is very, very compatible with me. So that relieved a lot of the issues that I was having before, and that was one of the major benefits of the Spectrum Success Program for me.
Ethan Idzior joins us now from his office in Michigan. Ethan, you're a senior at Michigan Technological University and an intern at HP. How did all this come about?
I was trying to find an internship, and I got a hold of the head of disability services at Michigan Tech, and she said that there was an opportunity that she wasn't entirely certain. It was kind of a long shot, but she gave me the information about it for the Spectrum Success Program in Boise for HP. So I applied for that, and I prepared through Michigan Rehabilitation Services, and I ended up getting the job, and I was really excited about that. And I ended up flying out there just in summer of 2019. I really enjoyed my time out in Boise. I worked in the firmware department. I was developing firmware for the embedded web server at HP, so it was a very interesting experience.
You're actually involved in the second internship. You had one last summer.
Oh, so the first internship, the main thing that I worked on was trying to restructure kind of all the folders within a certain component of their code in order to make sure that the code that was needed for a certain part of it was loaded, but the code that wasn't needed wasn't loaded in order to save space. So that was what I worked on last year. And then this year I'm going to be likely in the code infrastructure and tool development for other developers.
Oh, that's exciting. Now, because of coronavirus, you'll be doing your internship from home this year?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, how will that work?
Even last year, I would work from home sometime, like if I had to migrate or something like that. And HP was really good with accommodating that. What we would do is I would just connect through my computer, or I would update documents just from home, and I would use that computer from my home instead of from the office.
Wow.
But now with coronavirus, what they're doing is they're having it so I'm going to be connected to their network remotely.
Tell us how you got involved in vocational rehabilitation.
It was in the middle of college, and I was not entirely sure where I could find an internship. So my mom suggested vocational rehabilitation as an option to me. I ended up going and seeing a counselor and discussing vocational rehabilitation about the year before I started up at HP.
Yeah. What kinds of things did they help you with when you connected with them in your college experience?
A lot of the things that they helped me with were interviewing skills, just my ability to talk with interviewers, as well as helping me find opportunities for internships and things like that I could reach out to.
Ethan, what are your plans after graduation?
I'm not certain yet. I think I might want to work at HP because I really enjoyed working there, but I don't know where exactly I would want to work. I think I would definitely want to do something involving programming, maybe working in firmware.
How does it make you feel to know you're part of a program that's been helping people with disabilities for 100 years?
It just feels amazing, really. I mean, I'm glad to be a part of a program that's been helping people for so long.
How have they helped you?
Giving me the experience with the process for preparing for jobs, such as building my resume and participating in interviews and things along the lines of that. The aspects of getting ready for the job are what vocational rehabilitation most helped me with.
What advice would you have for others who might be interested in vocational rehabilitation or an internship?
I would say, just because something seems like you're not sure if you're going to get it, that doesn't mean you shouldn't try for it. Because with the HP thing, it seems like a bit of a long shot for me, but I applied for it anyways, and I ended up getting that internship, and it ended up being something that was really wonderful, and I had an amazing experience that summer. So I would say for people with disabilities, even if something seems like a bit of a long shot, you should still try for it. You should still go for it.
CSAVR's national employment team connects vocational rehabilitation with some of the country's leading companies, bringing them together with talented workers like Ethan. Here's their Director of Business Relations, Kathy West Evans, with reflections on the partnership with HP.
The VR program and the net has reached out nationally and worked with Microsoft on their Autism to Work program. They've done a great job of developing a strategy where they're bringing in individuals on the spectrum for a 1-week working interview, knowing that an individual on the spectrum, a neurodiverse individual, normally does not interview well in 45 minutes. But if you have the opportunity to see them work on multiple types of tasks over a week, then you see their real skill sets and really look at how they can fit within your company. Microsoft did a great job and has shared this model. The VR agencies not only refer candidates, but we also help support them through what I would call a life coach, not a job coach, but a life coach. These are bright people. What they need is that support to really blend with the social aspects of work and the communication and things like when I move because I'm hired, how do I find an apartment? How do I negotiate a contract? Those life skills. So Provail is our partner there. And so wherever a VR candidate comes from around the country, and Microsoft has hired close to 110 individuals through this program now, Provail is always the provider because they understand the business and they understand the goal and their role very well. Idaho VR invited me to come over and work with them to do some training with Hewlett-Packard. And during that training, we talked about our relationships. One of them was the program and the work with Microsoft. One of the leaders on the HP team happens to have a son on the spectrum. And he approached us and said, how could we make this work for us? Well, in our discussion, I said, well, why not come to Microsoft and learn? They are in Boise, Idaho. So the trip to the Seattle area seemed very reasonable. So he brought his team over. We sat down with the Microsoft team, Hewlett Packard, and our partners at ProVail and talked about the model. And that's really what kind of launched the thinking of how HP would do this. Now, HP has chosen to do a summer internship, but they use that same strategy of the 1 week working interview to select their candidates. And again, VR has supported in Idaho, brought in candidates from around the country. Ethan is a candidate supported by the Michigan VR agency. So it really shows the power of leveraging the relationships with business and the talent that we have in the VR system at the national level.
And Kathy, I know I don't have to tell you, but these are extraordinary opportunities. We talked with Maurice Petty of HP, and he had this to say about the program.
So for us, we're now in our second year of what we call the Spectrum Success Program. We started this program because what we saw within HP, but also what we saw in the industry, was individuals on the autism spectrum were having a hard time getting in the front door for companies, just given challenges around social skills and the traditional hiring processes and interview processes that companies usually take. But we knew they had a lot to offer. So we wanted to set up this program so that we could get exposure to talented individuals that were out there and utilize them in opportunities that we had in the HP organization to do a number of things: engineering, data analysis, supply chain, and operations.
And Kathy, through all the years that I've worked with you, you have always been the champion for working across state lines, engaging partners in other places for the benefit of business. And that certainly seems to be the case here. What are your thoughts about the fact that a person from Michigan is doing an internship in Idaho from their home remotely? How cool is that?
I love it. Because again, Rick, as we've always talked, it's about how it benefits the individual customer and how it benefits the business customer, and our job to connect the talent to the opportunity.
Kathy, thank you, and everyone on the National Employment Team and at CSAVR.
It's all about working together to benefit our customers.
And Ethan.
I'm Ethan Idzior, an intern at HP celebrating the 100th anniversary of vocational rehabilitation.
The partnership between VR and business is crucial as great companies fill their talent pipelines with talented workers who happen to have disabilities. Staying in business in today's world can be challenging. Yet some people with disabilities take on the challenges of running their own business. Our next showcase takes us to Augusta, Maine, with the story of Judy Boucher.
Judy is one of the individuals in the Business Enterprise Program who is legally blind. She manages the Riverview Snack Bar.
My business is possible through the Department for the Blind and Visually Impaired Business Enterprise Program, which enables people who have impairments like mine to be self-employed. I would never have expected to be able to do this. I wound up learning about the Business Enterprise Program after I had been looking for work. That's what started the ball rolling.
She was looking for some extra hours, and it worked out that across the street from where she was working, we had a snack bar that we were going to transfer into a market. And it's an unmanned market. We started teaching her how to do the stocking and the ordering, and so she was doing all the pieces.
We all kind of worked together. We had to, we brought in some professionals to help with the process to kind of accommodate and make some more adaptations for her to make it so that it could happen.
The Zoom text on my computer and the CCTV is invaluable because I get bills. So I put it on the the CCTV so I can read the figures properly. It's an automated snack bar. You know those checkout places where you pass your credit or debit cards in front of an electronic eye? Well, my snack bars run very much like that.
Several years ago, started leading the nation in unmanned micro markets, which are now giving a great advantage to individuals looking to augment their income in the state of Maine and nationally. So we are very proud that we have been leading in that area.
I'm Jesse. I work for the Riverview Avanti for the Division of the Blind and Visually Impaired, and I am a stock/driver. Take her to and from her house location to work, and I also help her stock the shelves and keep stuff clean and help her keep stuff inventoried and up to date.
He is actually like my right-hand man. He does things for me that I can't do myself because of my vision impairment. He brings me back and forth to work. He can take me to the bank to make deposits. He's got a good attitude. He's very personable with my customers, and he likes it.
She's very wise, and she has a lot to contribute, and she has a lot to teach me, and I enjoy it.
If I had no opportunity to work with the DBVI or the Business Enterprise Program and the Department for the Blind and Visually Impaired, oh man, I would wind up probably, my landlord says differently, but I have envisioned myself living in a cardboard box underneath a bridge. I kid you not, because you don't make a whole lot of money on Social Security or disability. Not enough to pay rent and to feed yourself. I learned that I can meet challenges and succeed in all sorts of different ways that I never expected to be able to do.
Judy Boucher joins us now from the snack bar at Riverview in Augusta, Maine. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you.
Judy, what is your message to people with disabilities about taking on the challenges of running a business the way you have?
Well, I think it's very rewarding. It keeps me from having to draw that much disability from the state. I am able to get this. I write my own paycheck.
Oh, that's awesome.
How many people get to say that?
Not many.
But anyway, it's rewarding because it gets you out into the public and you meet interesting people. Lots of times they don't even know that I'm visually impaired. When I have to read a sell-by date on a package of food, my secretary does that for me. She's great on spreadsheets. So I think a lot of my success is finding people that work with me so that I don't have to stand on my head, so to speak, to get some of the things done that I need to do as a manager.
So how has the Riverview Snack Bar evolved over the past few years?
Lately, because of the coronavirus, we've been making the sack lunch, and this is free to all the staff because they can't really just leave and go out to lunch because of the coronavirus.
Sounds like you've moved from just being a snack bar to being an essential part of the operation. How does it make you feel to be such an example of success in a program that's been around now for 100 years?
Well, I'm pretty grateful that it has evolved technology-wise and that it is there for people with a vision impairment or any other kind of impairment. I don't think I would be able to do what I'm doing without assistance like the Department for the Blind and Visually Impaired. People that work in that department are marvelous. They're priceless individuals. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I think the program has come a long ways because of technology and everything. I'm so grateful to be able to participate in that program because it has made a big difference for me. I'm able to have a contact with the community at large that I probably wouldn't have. and it keeps me from sitting at home and being a couch potato watching TV all day.
I don't think there's any danger of that happening for you.
Yes, I'm happy and proud to be able to represent one of the people that has been, I'd call successfully rehabilitated to become a person who is able to, support themselves because of the program.
Diane Freegon with Maine's Division for the Blind and Visually Impaired is the regional director for the Business Enterprise Program that helps people like Judy set up and run businesses in micro markets across Maine.
So Judy runs a micro market, and it's complex at times, and other times with the right supports in place, we find that individuals are able to do various aspects of the self-employment or sole proprietorship model with the micro markets. We provide training through Voc Rehab, getting a business plan together, identifying those parts of an individual's life and their experiences that they might need some support. For instance, somebody who's blind and visually impaired, which is who we work with, they will need most likely some type of assistive technology. They might also need some other types of accommodations in order to be successful operating their business.
I'm Judy Boucher, and I have been managing the snack bar since 2013.
So many people with disabilities like Judy are working in essential jobs, just like our next guest, Laura Williams, a mechanical assembler at ComSonics in Virginia. Let's meet the woman who coined the phrase, VR is that spark I needed to ignite my success. Laura Williams.
In June 2018, Laura Williams, a graduate of Wilson Workforce and Rehabilitation Center's Manufacturing Technology Training Program, began her career with ComSonics, a company specializing in the design, manufacture, sales, and repair of electronics and fiber optics in Harrisonburg, Virginia. The program helped Laura gain the skills, training, and credentials needed for jobs in this high-demand industry sector.
I'm Laura Williams, and my position is mechanical assembler. When I was in manufacturing program at WRC, people from ComSonics came to tour the classroom. We both got an idea of what was expected from me being in the program and for what they expected from their company.
I think one of the things that maybe surprised a lot of us, a lot of her coworkers, was that when Laura got here and was actually assigned to start doing work, she'd already demonstrated competency, been able to do some of the things we expected her.
I got to tour the facility here. I really liked what I saw and the people I met here that worked here. When it came toward the end of my program, I called up Nate Mahanes, who is part of DARS, and he helped me get ready for the interview and what to kind of expect. People at ComSonics, when I met them, they were great. They helped me feel comfortable and was very willing to accommodate to any needs that I may have. They were very welcoming.
With DARS, I had worked with Nate Mahane some through WWRC and had the opportunity to obviously connect with DARS and start looking at applications, and we're very impressed with the qualifications that we were seeing from the folks that we were getting in. The first thing that stood out to me about Laura is she had 2 certifications, which told me she was very driven. Those 2 things obviously were huge crossovers to what we do, and just being able to see that she was continuing to learn and to want to do more obviously told us that she had the skill sets we were looking for, plus she was looking for a career to build and was going to be able to grow with our company.
I think they expected when she walked in the door we were going to have to show her everything. She actually was capable in providing value almost from her first day.
We hire for abilities, and the good news is we've hired some quality candidates through DARS over the years. And I will say one of the things that I've noted most is certainly the work ethic in the candidates that we've interviewed and we've hired.
I really liked what I saw and the people I met here that worked here, and at the end I felt like this was it. This is where I belong.
As our celebration continues, we welcome Laura Williams. Laura, what a wonderful story and a video. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Now, how long have you worked at ComSonics?
It'll be 2 years, June the 4th.
Wow, so you're right at an anniversary. Now, in the video, you say you're a mechanical assembler, but you've advanced to become an electronics technician apprentice. Tell us about that.
I was interested in expanding my career. So electronic technician apprentice sounded really great. So I was able to take electricity 1, and it's helped a lot and kind of some of the stuff I do now.
So tell us about your routine day at work and how you've grown since starting the job there at ComSonics.
Right now I'm building ting sensors. So there's these little plastic things you plug in the wall, and inside is a circuit board with many parts on it that have been soldered. So I've been putting them in the cases and then closing the cases up, put labels on them, and then putting them in the box ready for shipment out to the customers.
Now, how did vocational rehabilitation and being at Wilson Workforce help you get ready for this job?
It prepared me to be ready for the workforce and what to expect, and especially the interviewing process. I got computer support specialist training, and then I got manufacturing technician training and obtained manufacturing specialist 1, manufacturing technician 1, and OSHA 10. But I heard about the manufacturing program at WWRC, and it interested me a lot, and I love to build things.
So where do you see your career going from here now that you've gotten established as an apprentice?
Like just moving up. I like to do different things.
What would you want someone who's never heard of this program to know most about the training and the help you got to get this job?
I would want them to know it's worth it, and that they'll be fully capable of pursuing their career with the help that's able to be provided. I mean, it helped a lot getting accommodations, which helped tremendously. And
what kind of accommodations are provided as part of your job?
I would say some things be lowered so I can reach them better. I had a chair accommodated for me so I can have my feet on something, so better posture. I had a reacher to help me get some things down.
Well, having a different body size and type gives you certain challenges that you've obviously overcome, and you've been very successful. But the folks at ComSonics talked about how you walked through the door on day 1 really ready to do the job.
I think it's great. It means a lot. I mean, I was really determined having a job. I really wanted a job.
How has that changed your life, having this job?
It changes it in a way of showing that having a disability is not necessarily going to stop you from actually having employment. You just have to find the right place and the right people, and as long as you're determined and confident and do well in your classes, anything's possible if you put your mind to it.
Mm-hmm. How does this success make you feel, especially knowing you're part of a program that's been around 100 years?
I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful thing for many people with many challenges because, I mean, in my experience and other people's experience, that there are a lot of times there's people that will look at you or see you, but they won't give you the chance to see what your capabilities are. And I think having this program really helps people to actually have a chance at what other people have a chance at. It helped me from day 1, especially with driving. That's huge because I'm more independent and I can take myself to and from work. And then it gave me more confidence to be able to go to work every day. And I would highly recommend anyone with a disability to go there because it can really change a life.
David Leon is the Deputy Director for Workforce Programs at the Virginia Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services and leads the agency's efforts to engage business.
Laura's story reminds us that
when we work with individuals to tap into their abilities and interests and work with business to find their needs, we can create matches that turn into long-term careers and success.
I'm Laura Williams, and I'm a mechanical assembler at ComSonic, celebrating the 100th anniversary of vocational rehab.
Manufacturing is, of course, crucial to our nation and is experiencing a vibrant new partnership with VR. The talent pipeline for business today is filled with opportunity for those companies who are willing to explore the rich pool of talent that's available, especially when combined with assistive technology, innovation, and a success-oriented work culture. Next, we meet Barbara, who shares her story of moving into a career with Humana in Kentucky.
I have what's called a severe hearing loss. I am legally blind. I have some vision in my right eye and almost none in my left eye. I'm a customer service rep with Humana Group Medicare. I speak to our members. I go over what their benefits are. I explain to them about their claims. Sometimes they call in and they're not really sure what type of plan they have or what it covers.
If every single person I had on my team was anything like Barbara, even a half, it would make my job a lot easier. Barbara's work ethic is amazing. There's hardly any time I really have to ask her to do anything. Normally when I go to talk to her about something, she already kind of can take the words out of my mouth and say, I understand why you're going to talk to me. I'll get it taken care of on my end. So, you know, working with anyone with any form of disability, I think it's, I don't think there's any struggle at all. I think everybody has to adapt in any situation that we have at any time. So I think that, you know, like I said, Barbara's work ethic makes my job easier. So the fact that she has a disability, I wouldn't know unless I had to work with her the way I did as far as the systems that I had to help her get. But other than that, I wouldn't have known.
There was a lot of difficulties in the beginning. They weren't sure how to make Zoom text work with all of the systems that I work with. I work with quite a few. And it just, every time I pull up my systems, they would not interact with Zoom text very well, and it would cause my system to crash.
It was a juggling act, trying to do as much research and testing as I could, trying to not disrupt Barbara from her work. I did a lot of testing behind the scenes, installed Zoom text on my personal computer and did a lot of testing that way. But it was definitely challenging, but it ended up working out and it was very rewarding. So
now it is working perfectly fine. You know, I had some great people around me. I had a wonderful tech person. My supervisor stepped in. Everybody did their part to make this system work.
The fact that there's a disability it should always be an afterthought to anything. So I think everybody should understand that everybody deserves a chance no matter who they are. So I don't think anything should ever be a hindrance when it comes to any kind of disability.
Barbara King joins us now from her office in Kentucky. Welcome, Barbara.
Good morning.
Your story is powerful. How does it make you feel to have been so successful in this job?
This has been wonderful. I have gotten such great support from Humana, my coworkers, my team lead, my supervisors, leadership. They have done everything to make sure that I'm able to do my job, and it has been fantastic.
Well, how has the job changed over the last couple of years?
I have more to do.
Well, that's awesome.
A lot more to do. I help out with other groups that maybe need a little help here now, like our outbound grievance. And what that means is I'm with a group that help to promote employment for people with disabilities.
Yeah, wonderful. So how have you changed since that video back in 2017?
It has caused me to be more relaxed. One of the things about being disabled is your expectation of something negative happening, or that somebody's not going to work with you, or that this is not going to work out, or that you're going to fail. And I don't have that. That has been alleviated. I have no stresses, no worries at all. I'm much more relaxed and more open when my supervisor, gives suggestions, why don't you do this, why don't you learn this, or why don't you train on that? No problem, because I know it's just for my betterment.
Yeah. So, Barbara, so many people, when they hear the term severe hearing loss and legally blind, they just assume that you can't hear and can't see, yet you're working so successfully. Tell us how you work.
I use assistive technology. And I have to give Humana credit because they literally jump through hoops and skip rope to get my system set up so that I could work. I have no issues because as technology changes, I have a whole team of IT people here at Humana that make sure I have all up-to-date equipment, up-to-date programming, software, hardware, everything. Yep. So it has been pretty easy for me because I have good people I work for. Always know that regardless of what your disability is, if you have a support team, the people who you work for who act as your support team, that's gold. That is just pure gold.
So as you consider vocational rehabilitation, what would you say is the most significant change that's brought into your life?
It made me feel like I wasn't alone. That was the biggest thing for me, was my communication with my case manager there. When I used to talk to Jenny Tyree all the time before she retired. I mean, I always felt like there was somebody there for me. Work is one thing, but at Voc Rehab, they let me know that if things get worse, there's still options.
Amanda Sowards is Barbara's supervisor at Humana.
She's been such a huge part of building the systems for the visually impaired at Humana at this point, and she's participated in several projects and things with special teams to make sure that as an organization that we're really supporting her the way that she needs the support. And she's just been so important to our growth as an organization in that area.
A lot of what I ask a lot of Humana. I probably ask a lot more than most. But what I ask, I give back tenfold. And so it's a combination of me and Humana that makes me successful. I'm not alone. I have Humana. I have vocational rehab. Takes a village.
It's exciting to see how VR embraces assistive technology and how businesses are partnering with vocational rehabilitation to fill those critical customer service jobs. Craig Engel from Nebraska, in our next video, never imagined a near-death car accident would leave him faced with the prospects of never working again, until VR provided the hope he needed to move forward and rejoin the workforce.
My name is Craig Engel. I work for Columbus Hydraulics and my title is a finish welder. 3 years ago, my father-in-law and I were headed south out of Genoa and some kids were going to a football game in Fullerton. They collided with my side of my car on the driver's side. They life-flighted me then down to Lincoln. The doctors didn't know how long I'd even make it. I broke both collarbones and I got a traumatic brain injury out of the car wreck. I actually had to learn how to walk and eat and talk and everything again. Then my wife found out about a place in Omaha called QLI, Quality Living Incorporated, where they help people out with brain injuries and spinal cord injuries. When I was leaving QLI, I remember them telling me about Nebraska VR and how they'd help me set up a job and look for jobs and employment.
When I first met Craig, he came in with his family. He told me that he wanted to get back into welding, but wasn't quite sure where his skill level was. My first thought was, I want to meet him where he's at. Let's figure out where his skills are at as soon as we can. We have a great partnership with our community college here in Columbus. So I got a hold of the instructor at CCC and I asked him if he would be willing to let Craig come out and do some welding, and so we could see kind of where his level was at and what businesses it might match nicely with here in the Columbus area.
Columbus Hydraulics is a custom manufacturer of hydraulic cylinders. We have a great relationship with Nebraska VR. When they call, I listen. They are very knowledgeable of the workforce here in Columbus and the different skill levels that are needed.
I came out here to Columbus Hydraulics with Marlene from Nebraska VR and checked it out, introduced myself, talked to Brian Turnus. They walked me through the whole plant.
Brian knew that based on the evaluations that we had done with Craig prior to bringing him here, that he had the skill that Columbus Hydraulics needs in a welder. It was a big part of Craig's success to start out part-time.
Once he felt comfortable, had his legs underneath him, then we bumped him up to 8 hours a day, and currently we run 10-hour shifts, and Craig's been running 10-hour shifts for the last 3/4 of his employment here.
Working full-time feels good to me now because the doctors didn't think I'd be here today.
At VR, it's really important to provide, I call it retention counseling. So once they start, we stay heavily involved in most cases to make sure that their transition has been a smooth one.
Craig Engel has a great attitude. Every day he comes in, he's always got a smile on his face. He likes to joke around, and he just kind of uplifts everybody else's attitudes around him.
I've been at Columbus Hydraulics for over a year now. I didn't really expect to be here this long, but I really love welding, and I can't believe God let me remember how to weld.
Craig joins us from the production floor of the Lindsay Corporation, taking a short break from his job as a welder to talk with us about the 100th anniversary of Voc Rehab. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you.
Hey, Craig, everyone enjoyed watching the video and hearing your story. What's new in your career as a welder?
I used to weld up here at Lindsay for 10 years before my car accident, and coming back here has meant the world to me. It's just overwhelming seeing all of my friends that I had before the accident. And then they told me being in a coma for 20 days, I wouldn't remember a whole lot of stuff. But coming back here, it brought back so many different memories. It's hard to explain.
Well, that's awesome.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, welders are in high demand today. How does that feel?
It feels good. Yep. I came back here to Lindsay and they asked me if I wanted to be a certified welder again, get my license, and I said, yeah, I'd love to. So they sent me out to they sent my welds into the college and they tested it and everything, and it came back as positive. It was a good positive, so I got reinstated in welding, everything like that. So it's been pretty exciting.
Yeah. Craig, we're celebrating 100 years of success with vocational rehabilitation, 100th anniversary. How has Voc Rehab helped you?
They got me started in Columbus, Nebraska through welding. They sent me out to the college. They had a couple of people go with me. I did a weld test out there for the college to see what I could remember. And a lot of it was safety. I didn't have really that fast progress yet, but they said my safety was really reliable and I was really good with what I did. And if it wasn't for Voc Rehab, I wouldn't have been able to get my job back here at Lindsay. I was down there welding in Columbus, and I get a phone call from HR up here at Lindsay, and they asked me to come back up, give them a weld test, a tape measure readout and everything after my accident. So I came up here, and Tyler Schmidt, my supervisor, ended up saying, your welds look beautiful. We'd love to have you back on the team. And So I went back down to Columbus, and I gave them a 2 weeks notice that I was going to be coming back to my old job up here at Lindsay. And so everybody appreciated me helping them out, and I just thank the Lord every day. He lets me wake up and do the stuff I love to do.
Yeah. What does it feel like to be part of something that's been helping people with disabilities for 100 years?
You know, I've heard of VR before my accident, and I thought, well, that's kind of different. You know, why would they want to be helping people? But after being part of vocational rehab out of Columbus and all of the different places, I know what they do, and I'm really appreciative of how they help people out. And all you have to do is trust in them, and they will get you started in the right direction for sure.
There was a time when your doctors didn't think you'd be able to work again, and yet here you are.
I mean, I remember watching that Talladega Nights and Ricky Bobby's quote, "If you're not first, you're last." And I was always raised to be first. You know, I didn't want to be last. I always want to be first. So I always progressed myself to move farther and farther. And I mean, vocational rehab is the one that pretty much got me started on this path. Though, if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be today, to be honest with you.
Tyler Schmidt is the operations manager for welding at the Lindsay Corporation.
Working with Craig is great. He has a positive attitude. He's a real go-getter. If he's one of these guys that when you're working around him, he makes you a better person. I guess I didn't look at Craig as having a disability when we hired him. It's been really good having Craig back.
I'm Craig Engel, a welder at Lindsay, celebrating the 100th anniversary of vocational rehab.
VR not only helps people with disabilities, but contributes to the labor force, helping fill critical positions like welding jobs in the U.S. As we know, transportation is a key in sustaining employment and can be challenging anywhere, but especially in major metropolitan areas. Our next guest's career path required strength, resilience, and determination, as we learn in our next story from New York with Jamel Berry. Some success stories emerge in unique ways from people who offer their own powerful and compelling perspectives in only a few words. Let's listen to reflections from Jamel Berry.
I clean inside of Dalton, 42nd and Bryant Park. This is called Salesforce, and I clean tables, pick up dishes, and other stuff. I learned how to take the train travel. I practiced getting on the train, and it felt good. It's like having independence, learning by yourself. I'm humble to have it. It helped me prepare for getting a job and stuff, budget my money. It's like having needs and want. I felt that if they was in the same situation as me, it's important that it helps people with disabilities and stuff like that. It motivates me not to stay home and stuff. It's kind of difficult at first, but once you learn, it gets easier. I was going somewhere. I ended up on the wrong train. Then I took the train back to the stop to catch the other train. Go chase your dreams. Don't give up.
Kiati Senvali is Jamel's vocational rehabilitation counselor and joins us now from her office in New York. Kiati, having listened to Jamel's reflections, what's your perspective on his success?
He really would impress anybody with everything that he's achieved, especially from the 20-year-old person that I knew when in 2016 to now. His journey has been amazing.
What were Jamel's career goals?
He had expressed an interest in working in retail at the time, or he was open to everything, but he said retail would be easier to find. I had some doubts because he was not very his ability to communicate. He would answer you politely when you asked a question, but I believe for retail you might need more of a personality to outgoing personality. But then we talked about maybe stock or back end work, which he was okay with.
So Jamel seemed really determined to navigate the challenges of New York City transit and find employment.
I think the fact that it took him less than 6 months to get travel trained showed his determination. Because I closed his case back in August, and in February they reached out to me again saying he is ready, he's travel trained, he was determined. So I think I saw that. The fact that he may not be able to express, or he may not express himself with words, but he was able to do it with action. One of the things that we do when we work with people is to help them find employment. And the thing is, they have to be able to reach the interviews. They have to be able to, navigate the city to be able to get to their work of place. And Jamal was getting picked up from his school through the bus, which was not going to happen once he left. Once he graduated. So it was part of transition planning that the school should have come up with some sort of travel training. But his school, for some reason, was not able to get him the training that was needed. So when we met, that was the first thing we discussed, his need to be able to learn to navigate the city. There's a couple of ways we could do that. We would refer them to a vendor that could provide the service one-on-one, or MTA has a link that can be used as well. But in his case, I thought a more individual one-on-one approach would work better. And that's why I referred him to include NYC.
Wow. So what would you want people to know most about Jamel's story and your work with him?
And I think the best part about him is I hadn't expected, as I said, that he would come back after I initially closed his case. Because a lot of times people don't. But in his case, he managed to get travel trained with, as I said, with less than 6 months. And then he came back and he found a job right away. Like, we referred him for supported employment services in March. And I believe in July, he was already working at Salesforce, doing porter maintenance, some clerical duties, which suited his personality because he wouldn't have to talk to people that he didn't know. He would just be able to, he would be comfortable with the group of colleagues that he has learned to have a relationship with, and was able to build natural supports.
Yeah. Kiati Senvali is Jamel's rehabilitation counselor from New York's Vocational Rehabilitation Program. Well, I'd like to thank each and every person who helped develop today's Success Story Showcase. You can find links and more success stories, the original videos, and a full transcript at ncrtm.ed.gov. Well, we leave you today with the anthem for vocational rehabilitation from George Dennehy and the Voices of Rehabilitation Choir. This work, of course, based on the original by Dr. Ralph Passanelli, and the iconic phrase from Justin Dart, "Lead on VR." Ralph and George are absolutely the heart and soul of this incredible song, but I'd be remiss without a word of thanks to the man who brought it to life in this year's re-release through CSA VR, producer Richard Adams. Don't forget, you can find the sheet music and the karaoke version of Lead On VR at vrworkforcestudio.com, and bring your local talent into the spotlight by opening up your next meeting with the anthem. Thank you again for joining us for today's webinar. I'm Rick Sizemore, inviting you to be the spark that ignites vocational rehabilitation. We close now with George Dennehy and the Voices of Rehabilitation Choir with Lead On VR.
The glory of VR, jobs for people everywhere, both near and far, giving hope for all to fill the void, building new pathways to being employed. Lead on VR, providing services that score, creating new careers that endure, working on skills skills and self-esteem, helping people to reach their dreams. Lead on VR. Success for those with disabilities, jobs and independence through capabilities. Celebrate the triumph of the human spirit, shouting loud its praises for all who hear it. Lead on VR. Lead on VR. For all that you do through the DSU. Lead on VR. Lead on VR. Lead on VR. For all that you do through the DSU. Lead on VR. Lead on VR.